Yesterday, I made a video about how the copyright for Steamboat Willie is expiring, and that means people are free to do what they want with the character. And I'm not talking about just the character of Mickey Mouse in general, but this specific version of Mickey Mouse from Steamboat Willie. And even then, there's still a lot of other laws with that, like they can't infringe on the trademark of Mickey Mouse or the name of Mickey Mouse because Disney still owns that. But they can do something with this character design and this art style. And one of the interesting things I saw with that was this first-person shooter game that's coming out in 2025 called Mouse. And it's really just a first-person shooter game, but with a Disney type of art style from that time period. And I do like the idea about people being able to do something like this, because with the copyright laws how they were, it was possible that Disney could have sued them if they tried to release this game and Disney still had the copyright to Steamboat Willie. But since that's expired, people are free to try to be a little bit creative with what's happening with this. Unfortunately, that's not everyone, because since the news announced that the copyright for Steamboat Willie expired, we got news of this. So it's basically just a generic slasher movie featuring Mickey Mouse. Trailer for Mickey Mouse slasher film drops on same day Steamboat Willie character enters public domain. Now, this is coming from the Hollywood Reporter. On the first day that Disney's 1928 short Steamboat Willie entered the public domain, a trailer has dropped for a horror comedy film featuring none other than Mickey Mouse as the killer. This is just like that Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, that cheap slasher movie that was trying to market itself on just the premise alone. In fact, I had to look up whether these were made by the same people or not. It turns out this was made by different people, and according to IMDb, the budget of this movie is less than $1 million. And I don't think the Hollywood Reporter would be talking about a sub $1 million slasher movie if it wasn't for the premise of this movie. So it looks like the marketing for them has paid off, because they're talking about it, and therefore I'm talking about it right now. But let's continue. The synopsis for the film, called Mickey's Mousetrap, reads, it's Alex's 21st birthday, but she's stuck in an amusement arcade on a late shift, so her friends decide to surprise her. But a masked killer dressed as Mickey Mouse decides to play a game of his own with them, which she must survive. I was hoping with access to this type of IP that someone would do something more inventive with it, find a unique way of telling stories using this art style or using these characters that you have the designs for. But instead, I wouldn't even say they're going after the low-hanging fruit. They're literally just grabbing the fruit off of the ground, because they can't even be bothered to put forth any little bit of effort. And unfortunately, that happens too often to properties that go into the public domain, because people just stop caring about them, because then you get others like this who are just going to try to rip it off and build something on name recognition alone to turn a quick buck and then cast it aside for the next thing. And that's really a sad state, but that's really what happens with these sort of things. And you look at what they say in this article right here, where the setting alone is like Five Nights at Freddy's, because that was something that was popular. So, hey, let's just do that too. And also it tries to say that there's a self-awareness, because in the trailer, there's a character who says they're going to be back, and then another person says that means they're going to die.
I'll be right back. And he's dead.
What?
Like if he was in a horror movie, you'd never say, I'll be right back. Because then you don't.
To me, this is less them being self-aware and more them just ripping off a line from a movie nearly a quarter century old, because, well, let's face it, the people making this don't have a creative bone in their body, and they're just going to try to extract value from other people's work and then just toss it aside for the next thing. And that's really what happens when something enters the public domain, because in a basic economic system, scarcity creates desire. And when it's in the public domain, there's suddenly no scarcity of it, which means people don't care about it anymore. And it really does cheapen the original IP when that happens. And it's unfortunate, because there are problems with trademark laws and copyright laws. Sometimes they could be a little bit overbroad, and it does stifle creativity to an extent, like I said with the video game Mouse, how it's just the art design that they're using for that, but there could have been legal troubles in the past. Now that's not the case anymore. But that's not really what I'm talking about when it comes to this, because I do think copyright laws and trademark laws are ultimately a net benefit, because if people don't have access to being able to monetize their creative works, well, then suddenly there's no creativity, because if anytime someone invents something, they're just going to get a ton of ripoffs like this, cheapening what it is. Well, then, yeah, innovation would just cease, and then people would just stagnate to the point where you would get nothing new coming out, or at least nothing new coming out at the rate that it's coming out right now. And I think that's ultimately a net benefit when we do have copyrights and people do have access to be able to monetize what they have created, instead of just having more of rehashes of old stuff like what we're seeing with this.